The clock strikes 9 p.m. as families gather around the dinner table. An elderly man drifts into sleep while his granddaughter performs. A grandmother recounts an identical tale for the third consecutive evening. Meanwhile, another elderly person insists neighbors are pilfering their possessions. To observers, these instances appear peculiar, perhaps amusing. However, beneath each scenario lies a profound, troubling reality about growing older that society rarely addresses. Medical experts currently caution that by reaching 65 years, approximately 8 out of every 10 elderly individuals will exhibit patterns or conduct that causes family discomfort, strains relationships, or subtly indicates significant deterioration. Nevertheless, society dismisses these transformations as merely natural aging. Throughout this presentation, we'll expose the 12 uncomfortable behaviors elderly people exhibit during aging that remain largely unspoken. Several will astonish you, others will create discomfort. However, upon reaching number 5, you'll understand why seemingly minor social missteps actually represent the clearest indicators that self-sufficiency might soon disappear. Each scientific reference mentioned throughout is linked below in the description. Before proceeding, let me pose a question. What's your current age? And what transformation after 60 has surprised you most, either personally or in someone close? Share your thoughts in the comments section. We examine every response as though it's documentary material. Frequently, your insights prove more revealing than academic research. Now, let's begin with number 12. It carries more risks than you'd anticipate. Number 12. Neglecting personal cleanliness habits. The earliest uncomfortable shifts families observe in elderly relatives involve sudden lapses in personal care. Bathing gets postponed. Garments remain unchanged for extended periods. Dental care becomes sporadic. Initially, this might appear as unwillingness or obstinacy, but scientific evidence reveals it typically signals deeper issues with cognitive processing and deteriorating executive function, the mental capacity governing daily routine organization. Consider Edith, aged 74, who previously maintained impeccable appearance with pressed blouses and well-groomed hair. Her daughter started observing repeated wearing of identical clothing and frequent skipping of evening toothbrushing. This transcends mere aesthetics. Inadequate cleanliness elevates infection vulnerability, periodontal disease probability, and potentially pneumonia risk since oral bacteria can migrate to respiratory organs. Elderly individuals experiencing memory deterioration may not register discomfort from soiled garments or detect unpleasant smells because sensory awareness diminishes with advancing years. Factor in arthritis or movement difficulties, and previously simple 5-minute tasks become overwhelming. Challenges. Harvard researchers discovered that seniors overlooking hygiene practices showed 3 times greater likelihood of early dementia compared with those maintaining consistent routines. Therefore, monitoring hygiene proves critical not merely for well-being, but as an advance warning mechanism for cognitive deterioration. Consequently, though addressing a loved one's declined showering or brushing habits feels uncomfortable or awkward, such conversations can genuinely preserve lives. Behind that overlooked toothbrush or unwashed garment, the brain might be quietly broadcasting distress signals. If hygiene neglect serves as such a warning indicator, the subsequent uncomfortable behavior proves equally startling. Number 11. Speaking excessively loud without awareness. Have you witnessed an elderly family member suddenly elevating their voice volume, practically yelling, despite nobody else doing so? Numerous seniors start speaking loudly unconsciously. Though this appears harmless, it typically indicates something more substantial. During aging, microscopic hair cells within the inner ear begin dying, a phenomenon termed presbycusis. These cells cannot regenerate, causing hearing deterioration to advance gradually, often unnoticed by the affected individual. When you cannot clearly hear your own speech, naturally you speak more forcefully. An extensive investigation in the Journal of the American Academy of Audiology demonstrated nearly 2/3 of adults beyond 70 years experience some hearing reduction, yet under 20% utilize hearing devices. This disparity leaves millions of seniors unknowingly raising their volume during social interactions, occasionally creating awkwardness or family miscommunications. Beyond social discomfort, unconscious loud talking carries serious implications. Unaddressed hearing reduction connects to elevated depression risks, social retreat, and cognitive deterioration. Research published in The Lancet revealed seniors with untreated hearing problems faced 30% increased dementia development probability. The reason? Continuously straining to hear overtaxes the brain, redirecting resources away from memory and reasoning functions. Therefore, while louder voices might seem merely another aging characteristic, truthfully they could warn that both auditory and cognitive wellness are declining. If excessive volume can quietly expose so much, the next transformation seems stranger still, because it manifests in reflections and leaves seniors disturbed each morning. Number 10. Accumulating outdated possessions and clutter. It begins subtly. Newspaper stacks, closets overflowing with worn garments, drawers crammed with ancient receipts. However, for numerous seniors, accumulation gradually dominates the residence. What appears as quirky attachment to antiquated items often signals deeper issues with how aging brains process memory, worry, and bereavement. Seniors retain objects fearing forgetfulness, or because items represent stability in an excessively changing environment. 75-year-old Lillian defended kitchen mountains of plastic bags when her daughter visited, maintaining they'd prove useful eventually. Dangers extend far beyond disorganization. Accumulation generates fire hazards, falling risks, and potential infestations threatening aging immune defenses. It simultaneously strains family bonds. Relatives may experience frustration or powerlessness, while seniors feel criticized or attacked. This isolation can intensify depression, establishing destructive patterns where increased hoarding deepens loneliness. Consequently, while piles of aged magazines or damaged appliances appear benign, they frequently represent silent pleas for stability, reassurance, and command during life stages filled with unpredictability. If clutching clutter becomes hidden danger, the subsequent uncomfortable transformation proves equally surprising. Number 9. Recounting identical narratives repeatedly. Every family experiences this. An elderly relative retells identical stories repeatedly, sometimes within single conversations. Initially, it seems endearing or sentimental, but eventually becomes exasperating. Truth is, story repetition represents one of aging's most prevalent yet misunderstood indicators. Here's the science. As brains age, the hippocampus, the memory hub, research indicates by age 70, it shrinks up to 20% compared with younger adults. Therefore, storing fresh information becomes challenging while ancient, established memories stay robust. Seniors might vividly recall childhood incidents but cannot remember yesterday's lunch. Filling this void, they revisit familiar narratives. During Sunday visits, 81-year-old David recounted his first automobile tale 3 times, within 2 hours without recognizing previous tellings. Journal of Alzheimer's Disease Research found seniors frequently repeating stories showed double the probability of subsequently developing mild cognitive deterioration or dementia versus those who don't. This doesn't mean every repeated narrative signals danger, but indicates the brain struggles encoding new memories. Repetition isn't solely it's comfort-seeking. Reliving familiar narratives provides seniors identity and command in environments feeling increasingly unpredictable. Therefore, while repeating identical stories might sound like harmless conversation, it frequently represents the brain transmitting quiet distress signals. If words can betray hidden struggles, the next uncomfortable transformation reveals itself differently. Number 8. Displaying noisy eating patterns. Among more uncomfortable observations families note in aging relatives involves noisy eating. Lip smacking, open-mouth chewing, or exaggerated crunching during meals feels unpleasant or disrespectful. However, for numerous seniors, it's unintentional, the body transforming in ways rarely discussed. Here's the explanation. As individuals age, jaw and tongue muscles weaken, teeth deteriorate, dental complications emerge, and dentures rarely fit perfectly. Combined with decreased saliva production common after 60, chewing becomes laborious. Seniors might open mouths wider or chew more vigorously, simply managing food. Journal of Oral Rehabilitation Studies revealed over 40% of adults beyond 65 struggle with chewing effectiveness, producing louder, less controlled eating habits. Noisy chewing transcends social inconvenience. SIT frequently warns of oral wellness decline. Poor chewing capability can create larger, inadequately digested food particles, taxing the stomach and increasing indigestion vulnerability. It can also drive seniors toward avoiding tougher, healthier foods like raw vegetables and lean proteins, elevating malnutrition risks. Additionally, jaw muscle weakness and dental discomfort can diminish confidence eating around others, pushing seniors toward mealtime isolation. Consequently, while noisy chewing might trigger irritation or mockery, it's a sign deserving attention, because behind the sound is a mouth and body struggling against age. If loud chewing proves unpleasant audibly, the subsequent change becomes harder confronting, because it involves how senior bodies begin smelling without their awareness. Number 7. Disregarding unusual body smells. Among aging's most uncomfortable yet seldom discussed transformations involves how bodies begin smelling differently. Seniors sometimes ignore these unusual smells, or worse, remain completely unaware. Scientists term this nominal, often described as greasy or musty scents, intensifying with age. Unlike perspiration, it resists simple soap washing because it originates from fatty acids decomposing within skin. Consider Evelyn, 76, who enjoyed hosting her bridge circle, but friends started fabricating departure excuses. Bothered by musty smells in her residence, she couldn't detect herself. Beyond awkwardness, ignoring strange smells can indicate health complications. Liver conditions can produce sweet, musty scents. Kidney issues may generate fishy odors. Diabetes sometimes creates fruity breath smells. When seniors dismiss these odors as merely aging, they might overlook early illness warnings. There's also social cost. Body odor, when unnoticed, can lead to stigmatization, isolation, or mistreatment in care environments. For seniors already facing loneliness risks, this creates additional painful connection barriers. Families frequently feel awkward mentioning it, but honesty prevents much larger complications later. Therefore, while ignoring unusual odors might seem minor or embarrassing, it's really the body whispering something's wrong. If scent can prove such subtle yet powerful indicators, the next uncomfortable transformation proves equally striking. Before continuing, secure your position by hitting like and subscribe. The health insights you require come right after this. Number 6. Dozing off. During social occasions, watching older relatives nod off mid-conversation at church or during family dinners can prove jarring. Many seniors fall asleep during social settings unconsciously, though people often laugh dismissively. Science demonstrates this isn't simply fatigue, it's the brain and body struggling with sleep. Regulation during aging. With advancing age, melatonin production, the sleep signaling hormone, sharply declines. Sleep patterns become lighter and more interrupted, leaving seniors inadequately rested nightly. Add medications, chronic discomfort, or conditions like sleep apnea, and daytime drowsiness becomes unavoidable. Sleep medicine studies found over 32% of adults beyond 65 regularly experience excessive daytime sleepiness, frequently causing unplanned public napping. During his granddaughter's school performance, 72-year-old Robert suddenly dozed in his seat, awakening to whispers and audience stares. Falling asleep socially creates ripple effects. It can embarrass seniors, damage confidence, and make family or friends assume disinterest. More critically, daytime drowsiness strongly connects to cognitive deterioration. Stanford researchers discovered older adults regularly nodding off daytime showed double the probability of developing dementia within 5 years. The brain's sleep-wake control mechanisms weaken with age, and those lapses appear not just privately, but during meaningful public moments. Consequently, while drifting off publicly might seem harmless quirk, it signals sleep wellness and brain health deserve closer examination. If unexpected sleep can interrupt family gatherings, the next uncomfortable transformation proves equally disruptive because it involves sudden, unpredictable mood fluctuations. Number 5. Persistently complaining about trivial matters. The most unpleasant transformations families observe in aging relatives involves constant complaining. Seniors might fixate on excessively cold food, overly loud television, or a neighbor's dog barking to houses distant. Initially, it resembles nitpicking, but reality shows science reveals much more behind this shift than personality, that is brain's age. Emotional regulation transforms. The prefrontal cortex, typically filtering irritations, weakens. Simultaneously, stress hormones like cortisol remain elevated longer following minor triggers, leaving seniors more sensitive to discomfort. Psychology and aging studies found older adults with 37% more prone to interpreting neutral events negatively compared with younger adults, demonstrating how the brain's emotional filter becomes distorted. At breakfast, 71-year-old Martha consumed 10 minutes complaining about excessively hard butter, leaving her daughter simultaneously amused and exhausted. This pattern isn't merely annoying, it carries health implications. Constant complaining frequently signals underlying depression or anxiety, affecting nearly 20% of seniors beyond 65 years, per CDC data. It can also stem from chronic pain, hearing reduction, or loneliness, making minor frustrations feel overwhelming. Unfortunately, increased complaining often causes family withdrawal, creating isolation, deepening the cycle. Therefore, while it might seem harmless grumbling, constant complaining often represents the body's stress release mechanism it cannot regulate anymore. When ignored, it can accelerate health deterioration and social disconnection. If minor complaints can develop into such heavy burdens, the next uncomfortable transformation proves more alarming because it frequently manifests in bathrooms where senior bodies reveal things most never want discussing. Number 4. Developing excessive suspicion or paranoia. Watching aging parents or grandparents suddenly grow suspicious of those loving them most can prove heartbreaking. Seniors might insist someone steals belongings, that neighbors monitor them, or even that family members conspire against them. What appears irrational paranoia often roots itself in genuine transformations occurring within aging brains. As neurons decline, particularly in frontal and temporal lobes, brains struggle with reasoning and memory. Seniors might misplace objects but genuinely believe theft occurred. They might forget conversations and assume deception. American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry. Studies found nearly 25% of seniors with cognitive decline experience paranoid delusions, especially during early dementia or Alzheimer's phases. One evening, 79-year-old Clara accused her son of stealing her wallet, only later discovering it tucked inside a forgotten coat pocket. These suspicions aren't merely unsettling, they damage trust and relationships. Family members may feel wounded or defensive, while seniors feel increasingly isolated in worlds they believe oppose them. Sometimes medications, such as Parkinson's or mood disorder treatments, can intensify paranoia by altering brain chemistry. Sleep deprivation and hearing loss also make seniors more prone to transforming shadows into threats and whispers into conspiracies. Consequently, while developing excessive suspicion might seem an unpleasant personality shift, it frequently represents a flashing warning light for deeper neurological deterioration. If minds can play tricks powerful enough to shatter trust, the next uncomfortable transformation proves equally distressing. Number 3. Losing command. Over bodily sounds. Gas and burp sits among aging's most embarrassing transformations. Uncontrollable gas, untimely burping, or stomach sounds erupting without warning. Seniors often joke hiding shame. However, truth is, these bodily sounds signal gut and muscle changes nobody ever warns about. During aging, digestive systems decelerate, stomach acid decreases, food processing takes longer, and muscles typically containing air and gas lose strength. This means increased air swallowing, heightened food fermentation, and diminished control over what escapes. Digestive diseases in Science's studies found 41% of adults beyond 65 reported frequent bloating, gas, or belching, disrupting daily existence. During church service, 70-year-old Frank turned crimson when a sudden loud burp escaped mid-earning chuckles he wished forgetting. Though seeming harmless annoyance, uncontrolled gas and burping can actually signal more serious issues like bacterial overgrowth, poor bile flow, or even early liver and pancreatic dysfunction. More importantly, embarrassment frequently leads seniors withdrawing from social settings, skipping family meals or church gatherings, avoiding humiliation. Over time, this isolation erodes both emotional and physical wellness. Consequently, while losing bodily sound control might feel like minor unpleasant aging aspect, it's really a loud reminder that gut, muscles, and nerves are transforming. If bodies can embarrass seniors this way, the next transformation becomes harder facing because it strikes independence's very center, bladder and bathroom command. Number 2. Battling incontinence. Publicly, few things steal dignity faster than losing bladder or bowel command publicly. For numerous seniors, incontinence creeps quietly. Initially, minor leaks when coughing or sneezing, then sudden urges impossible holding back. What begins as private issues often transforms into humiliating public reality. Science is clear. With age, pelvic floor muscles weaken, bladders become less elastic, and nerve signals controlling urination slow down. Add conditions like diabetes, prostate complications, or medications such as diuretics, and risks escalate sharply. According to the National Association for Continence, over 50% of women and nearly 25% of men beyond 65 experience some incontinence form, yet most never discuss it from shame. One afternoon at the grocery store, 72-year-old Helen felt sudden warmth down her leg. She rushed out, abandoning her cart, vowing never shopping alone again. What families must understand is incontinence isn't simply aging's part, it's a medical condition with treatments and strategies capable of restoring dignity and confidence. Ignoring it only intensifies shame and withdrawal cycles. Therefore, while struggling with public incontinence might represent seniors' most unpleasant experiences, it's not independence's end. However, if this feels difficult, the final transformation proves more devastating because it affects the body or confidence. Number 1. Oversharing private health information. The most surprising and uncomfortable transformation involves seniors beginning to overshare personal health details publicly. They might discuss bowel movements openly at dinner tables, describe medical procedures to strangers in bank lines, or announce embarrassing diagnoses before acquaintances. Families often cringe, but for many older adults, this shift isn't rudeness, it's brain and emotional changes. As individuals age, frontal lobes, regions responsible for self-monitoring and social filters, lose volume. This complicates recognizing social appropriateness. Simultaneously, loneliness and connection desires pushed seniors sharing personal details as methods of being heard. A 2019 aging and mental health study found older adults reporting higher isolation levels were twice as prone to oversharing private information casually. For them, discussing health struggles isn't oversharing, it's declaring, "I'm still present and need someone listening." This behavior, though awkward, carries significance. Oversharing can reveal anxiety, decline fears, or even cognitive impairment. It can also represent a coping mechanism for control loss. When bodies feel unpredictable, openly discussing them can feel like reclaiming power. Families often react with embarrassment, but shaming or silencing can deepen loneliness and damage trust. Instead, experts recommend gently redirecting or listening empathy while establishing boundaries. Private health details reminds us aging doesn't just change bodies, it reshapes how seniors communicate, seek comfort, and connect with others. It may feel unpleasant or awkward, but it's also a human attempt coping with vulnerability in life's final chapters. Conclusion: aging isn't solely about gray hair and wrinkles. It's about quiet, often unpleasant transformations sneaking into daily existence. From forgetting showers to oversharing private health information, each of these 12 truths reveals how fragile both body and mind become after 60. However, here's the most crucial part. None of these transformations mean dignity must be lost. When families notice signs early and respond with patience and empathy, seniors can maintain independence and self-respect far longer than they think. Now, I want hearing from you. Have you noticed any of these transformations in your own life or someone close? Share your story in the comments section. We're reading every single one. Your experience might be exactly what another viewer needs hearing tonight. If you found this presentation eye-opening, don't keep it private. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with your family and friends. Because the more we openly discuss aging, the less power these struggles have, isolating or shaming the people we love most. Got questions or something to share? Drop it in the comments. We read them all. Thanks for watching.